I'm pulling these seats apart to see what I can salvage. I'd say in terms of the front seats, very little. The leather is cracked, very brittle. The best I'll be able to do is to pull it apart and make patterns out of it. The rear seat's in a little bit better condition. Maybe I can get some leather that I can reuse, but I'll just have to see. What I have managed to do is to buy some leather on the internet. Not overly expensive. In fact, extremely inexpensive. What I would normally do is to use leather from an old lounge suite, but I found some leather on the internet, brand new leather, different colour, but what I'll do is that it turned out to be a far better proposition to buy a couple of hides. I got 2 hides for $125, which is extremely cheap. The leather seems to be quite good quality, and what I'll do is I'll stain it up to match the colour of the original seats. So at this stage I'm just pulling it apart to assess the damage, and then I'll make some patterns. With the driver's seat so far, I've had to replace a broken spring, which is in here, and I've remounted this on a new backboard there. Cleaned up the footrest in the back of the seat, give that a quick coat of paint just to seal it off. Originally this seat had the rear was made out of a type of vinyl, and it was tacked around here and down along here, and the leather from the front of the seat would come round and also tack along this line. Then it had a piece of hidem down there to cover the seam. What I thought I'd do is to actually make the whole seat cover complete, so the seam actually comes around the edge of the seat and it's sewn onto the front rather than tacked onto the board. Now I know that was done on a later model, because I've got a seat from a later model Consort, and it's actually vinyl all the way round and it's sewed onto the leather seam across there. This is a 49, one of the first ones made, and it was tacked, but I think it will be better if it was sewn on, and I think it'll be a much neater job, and I'll probably end up putting leather on the back rather than vinyl too, so it's a complete leather seat. So at this stage I've repaired the spring, put a new backboard, reassembled the basic structure of the seat. I'll now put some padding around this, re-pad this and cover it with hessian, and then I'll start to make up the rest of the seat cover. I've already done the pleated section, that's there, but what I was waiting for was to mount the seat together so I can actually look at where I'll sew the seams. So that way I'm actually fitting the cover to the seat rather than making the cover according to the templates I've drawn. So at this stage a little bit more padding, and then I'll start to sew the rest of this leather together. Enough hides to do the whole car. I've cut the patterns out. Already done that. I've cut out all the patterns for the for the whole interior. But what I'm going to start on is the driver's seat. Sewing with the right machine makes a big difference when sewing leather. I would have previously used my Singer, and I'd have to struggle all the way through to get the sewing done in terms of getting pleats correct. This new machine has worked about 4 times faster. The stitching has been perfect, and it's actually a pleasure to use. This is the back of the driver's seat. It only has pleats down the sides, panel in the centre, panel on the sides, and then it's got a surround. Now what I'll do next is to just sew across the bottom of the pleats to close them down, and then I'll start to put the panels around the outside, which will complete the face of the back of the driver's seat. So there's a bit more to do yet, but it's certainly going very well with the new machine. I've now finished sewing the panels for the front seat, the driver's seat. They're taking a little while to actually get them stitched up properly and fitted. What I'm about to do is to actually put them onto the frame. Now the back, it's a bit like a jigsaw. The back has to go on first, although not the side panels of the back. Then the cushion goes in under that, and then finally the cushion then folds round under the frame and tacks onto the frame. Now what I'll use there instead of tacks is staples. I've got my air gun down here, so I'll staple that up. I put leather on the back, as I said I was going to do, instead of vinyl. That seems to have worked okay. I've got to put a little bit more padding in the top here before I attach it. Just a little bit of a depression there. So I've got some wadding to put in there, which will pack that out, and then this seat will be complete. I'm just sewing up the panels for the passenger front seat, and this stage I've done the pleated section, which will go to the back, and I've cut just rough panels for the remainder of this seat. And what I tend to do is I take the patterns off the old seat, I cut them a little bit oversized, but then it's not just a case of I can just sew this front panel straight on the pleated section. It doesn't work that way. What I tend to do is to work from the pleated section is something that has to be done, and it's a piece of work in itself to do. What I initially do though is to refurbish the cushion. Now I'll put new hessian on the bottom, I'll put a piece of calico around the top to bind all of the other stuffing together. I'll put some new wadding around the edges to provide a soft edge to the seat, and then what I'll be doing is using this as the starting point and then fitting it to the cushion. So what I have to do is, this is the section I've got for the front. Then what I'll be doing is to look at where I actually sew that to make sure it fits in and around the seat, so the whole seat is covered. If I don't do that and I just work off the original patterns, I've found sometimes when you come to fit it, it actually doesn't fit, and the reason for that is usually when I refurbish the cushion, I tend to put a little bit more stuffing and padding in, so that makes it a little bit larger and then more difficult to fit the finished cover when you turn it up. So at this stage I've done that, the actual cushion itself, and now I'll start to work on attaching the panels to the pleated section of the seat, and then I'll work at exactly where I actually have to sew these along the edges to make sure I meet the shape and the curve of the cushion. The front seats are now finished. I haven't cleaned the leather up. It's got a lot of handprints all over it. I'm not going to worry about that at this stage. I'll just store them away until I'm ready to put them in the car and see how they mount. I'm reasonably happy. I mean, they're not perfect, but they'll look good enough when it goes in the vehicle finally. So I'll just store them away and then I'll move on to something else.